Welcome to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where we feature top bakery and specialty food entrepreneurs from around the world and share stories and tips on how to create a successful life in the baking world.
Hi, I'm Odette Danello, the host of the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where I interview women in the bakery industry to hear how they live their creative lives and share their adventures in running and managing a bakery business. I want to encourage you to go back and check out our past episodes with Katie Pope, founder of Blue Star Donuts in Portland, Oregon, Marlene Getzler from Freeport Bakery in Sacramento, Patty Stovall of Patty Cakes in Conway, Arkansas, Megan Wagstaff of Lady Yum in Seattle, and Bronwyn Weber from Bronwyn Cakes in Dallas. Today, I am so very excited to talk to Stephanie Kriebel. She's the CEO and co-founder of Oh My God Pretzels. I love that name, Oh My God. The delicious sourdough pretzel snacks that started in Philadelphia and is now distributed across the country. Stephanie started the company with her mom, Lynn, who used to bake the pretzel treats for her when she was a little girl as an afternoon snack. I'm excited to talk to her about how she scaled her business from an idea baked up in the kitchen to managing national distribution as a CPG brand. If you're new to this space, CPG means consumer packaged goods that are sold in the middle of the aisle in the grocery store. Oh My God Pretzel is a certified women-owned business through the WeBank Women Business Enterprise National Council and the Small Business Administration. Today's episode is brought to you by my company, Celebrity Gourmet Ventures, or Celebrity Cake Studio and Dragonfly Cakes. We're a family-owned and operated specialty bakery in Tacoma, Washington, and soon opening in Tucson, Arizona. We at Celebrity Gourmet have been baking joy into all of our artistically designed cakes and desserts for over 25 years. We are proud to work with a vibrant team of cake designers and bakers who help you celebrate the sweet moments in your lives. To hear more about how you can celebrate yourselves with the ones you love, visit celebritycakestudio.com or Dragonfly Cakes, or email us at info@celebritycakestudio.com. Before introducing today's guest, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Bob Burke, who hosted the Natural Product Sales Seminar in Boston a few weeks back. And that's where I met Stephanie. We were actually sitting on the same table. If you would like more information on how to manage and scale your CPG food business, please contact Bob at naturalconsulting.com. Now, Stephanie, hi, how are you? Thank you for being on the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast. I love your background, surrounded by delicious pretzel bites, which I had. It was so good, so delicious. I wanted you to tell our listeners like how you got started and what's behind the brand. What's your story?
Hi, Odette. Thanks so much for having me on your podcast. This is really exciting, and it was great to meet you at the seminar.
Great. So I had the pretzels. They're delicious. They have different flavors. I love the garlic parmesan. Was that a garlic parmesan?
We have a garlic flavor, yes. It's not a garlic parmesan, but yes, it's a garlic flavor.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So tell me how you started. Like your mom made it for you, and then how did that go from your mom making it for you after school to now managing distribution all over the country?
Oh, well, it's been quite a ride. So when my siblings and I were growing up, my mom wanted us to have a better for you after school snack. And so she started making our garlic flavored pretzels for us to eat for after school snacks. And she started serving them at her own parties and taking them as hostess gifts for her friends. And people just started asking where they could buy them. And so fast forward, and OMG Pretzels was Created 2 pans at a time right in my mom's kitchen at our headquarters in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. I love that. So I've been calling it, oh my God. So it's OMG. You say OMG.
That's okay, because once you pop one in your mouth, OMG comes popping out. And that's how we came up with our brand name, because we listened to what people's reactions were. And you can, when people pop one in their mouth, they say, oh my God, these are so great, so delicious. And that's how we came up with our name.
Yeah, it's super flavorful, really yummy. And I said Parmesan because the flavor, you could see it. So it looks like there's like the seasoning of it is so robust within each bite. So it tasted like there was more whatever it was in there. So like that's why I was like, oh, was it garlic Parmesan with rosemary and thyme? It was.
Yeah, so that's the niche that we have, is we are generous with our seasoning on every pretzel nugget. So we use a naturally aged sourdough nugget. We're currently the only one in the market, and we apply our seasoning generously so that when our customers are eating our products, we don't want them to be left with just a dry pretzel by the last bite. We want you to have that love at first bite flavor throughout the entire experience. And so we also pride ourselves on our 2-note flavor profile. So one flavor typically will hit your tongue first, and then the second flavor profile will come up, will follow that. That's kind of our niche.
So how did you guys determine that it was a 2-note or 1-note or 3-note? Was there like a professional who created the flavor profile for you on the panel?
No, we actually have created all the flavor profiles ourselves. And so we originally, when we were first starting out, and as we grew the first probably 5 years, we created all of our seasoning blends right in my mom's kitchen. So we went from our flagship garlic flavor that mom made for us when we were kids to our family inspired. I should say that most of our seasoning blends are family and culinary inspired. So the second flavor that we brought to market was our sweet and salty flavor. And that was created in honor of my grandfather, who would come over every day before school to play cards and eat cinnamon sugar toast. And that's actually how my siblings and I learned to do math. And so that was our second flavor. The third flavor we brought to market is currently called Chesapeake. And that's kind of a Mid-Atlantic region seafood seasoning blend that is our proprietary flavor, and is more on the savory side. We also have a cheddar jalapeno, which is my personal favorite because everything's better with jalapeno. And then our sweet and spicy flavor rounded out our original 5 flavors over the first 5 years. And so the sweet and spicy is similar to the sweet and salty, which is cinnamon sugar, but this one is sugar and with a cayenne heat at the end. And then fast forward to, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That sounds yummy.
I was going to say, so that was around the first 5 years. And, the first 2 years we were working in mom's kitchen, and then we grew and started baking in a commercial kitchen. And that lasted for 3 years until in 2020, right about the same time the pandemic hit, we were starting to scale nationally. We partnered with our first co-packer and added 3 new flavors. So that at that time we added our lemon pepper flavor, our sweet chili flavor, and also our salty butterscotch flavor. So we really try and focus on flavor profiles that you don't traditionally see on pretzels. And, so now fast forward to 2023, we've gone through a brand elevation. We've gone through, we've reformulated our product line so that they're cleaner label. We formulated out artificial ingredients. We have moved to the naturally aged sourdough, as I mentioned, sourdough nugget. And we have also partnered with a new co-packer who really is now our brand armor and gives us our unlimited capacity to really just scale the business now.
I think that's really amazing because A lot of women or anyone, I'm just going to say women because we're focusing on women now. We have these great ideas of mom makes this delicious pretzel or cake or whatever. I'm like, we should sell it because people, you give it away and people are like, we should sell it. And then you go to the farmers markets. And the next thing you know, you're in a commercial kitchen. Next thing you know, you're in a bigger commercial kitchen. And then you get a big order. And then you have to go look for a co-packer. How was your journey into finding a co-packer?
That's a great question. And I love to share this because it's hard to find a co-packer. So what I would say is it's all about the relationships and the conversations you have with people. What happened was we were in the process of doing our first packaging change. So our original packaging was this clear bag with a black and white label stuck to it. And we made them in mom's kitchen, and it was a very manual process. So then we went to our first printed bag. And it was at that time when we were looking for we were looking at doing it digitally. And so I had a conversation with a digital printer. And it just so happened that he knew a co-packer, put me in touch with them, and it ended up being a good fit for us. Prior to that, though, I had been on the hunt for a co-packer for at least 6 months, had reached out to some of the other pretzel companies that do seasoned products in the industry to see if they did any co-packing, reached out to other snack companies that do seasoned products, because you really have to have there's multiple ways to apply seasoning. And so you have to find the right partner that does it the same way you do. And traditionally ours have always been hand stirred. And so obviously when you scale, that's not sustainable. And we needed to find a partner that could make the products similar to the way we were doing it, only on a larger scale. And so there's also a couple of like online platforms. One that I remember, and I'm going to say it, but I'm not sure if they're still in existence or not, but like Partner Slate
I was going to say
was one.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, but it's been a few years since I was on that platform. I used that for a little while, but really it just came down to a conversation I ended up having with somebody who had nothing to do with co-packing. So, and that's the same way it happened so that was our first co-packer. Now, the past 2 years, as we've gone through this brand elevation, reformulation process, we've added a new flavor, our new buffalo flavor, and then we've onboarded with a new co-packer. That took a long time. That onboarding process took almost 14 months. And so while the first co-packer we onboarded like that and we're into production, the second one, it took a very long time. But the way we found them was the same. So we had been working with a broker that happened to know a guy who worked at a co-packer that he used to work with way back when at another company, and ended up reaching out to him. We got connected. It ended up working out. And now we have this solid co-packing partnership that is just going to help us to scale exponentially. And it's all because of conversations. That's it.
That's so amazing. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
It's like your network is your worth.
Yes. Your network is your net worth. Absolutely. And, I know that especially founders and entrepreneurs are so busy and pulled in so many directions, and you have to really manage your time and be cautious about how much time you give to introductory conversations with people, right? But for example, like being at the seminar, putting yourself in the right place with the right people is really important when you can do it and, when it makes sense. And I don't feel like most conversations are important or can end up being important down the road. You just don't know.
Right.
And this is proof of that. This is proof of that. Now, we never ended up printing our bags digitally. We never ended up working with that printer who got us in touch with our first co-packer. However, we did work with the co-packer for several years.
Well, it's also really good to be very intentional with what you want in your business and where you want it to go, because as soon as you set that intention, then you could say yes or no. This is the right path. This isn't the right path. And you could say, yes, this conversation is worth it. This conversation isn't. So there's a certain level of intentionality that is needed in order to get that serendipity to happen in your life, like what happened to you. But you set the intention. This is the kind of co-packer I need. I'm sure that if you weren't very clear, you would have been chasing a lot more other people, with maybe a co-packer that didn't have the right machinery or the dusting thing for, the seasonings, or they didn't have the right ovens, right, to get to whatever temperature, or capacity. So, I think there is kudos to you for setting that intention and recognizing where you wanted to go.
Yeah, and I would just say, in addition to that, is while I would like to say yes, 100%, it was intentional, this whole industry is a learning process. So just when you think you have something figured out, something else comes along that you have to learn. And I don't know that that's any different than any other profession, but it's really challenging because of all the moving parts in the CPG industry. And, from just figuring out what customers are going to be receptive to as far as your product goes, testing the market, the packaging, the quality of the product, the quality of your co-packer, the opportunities in the marketplace, getting into grocery retail, or, now you mentioned that when we back in 2020 was when we took the leap and went nationwide. And I would like to give credit to Fair Marketplace. It's an online platform that connects small brands to small independent retailers. And that's how we got to be nationwide. And that still is the majority of our business. So we do a lot of drop shipping across the country. We're trying to expand now that we have rebuilt our foundation, if you will, with our new product line and, cleaner label products and new packaging and all of that. And so we are now going out and targeting larger retailers. We've got some export opportunities. You mentioned setting intention. Well, a few years ago, when I took over the CEO role, because I only came on board as the CEO in 2019. Before that, I was kind of helping mom from afar, because while our business is in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania, I actually live and was a teacher in California up until I left that profession in 2021. So to focus exclusively on OMG pretzels. But all that to say that, the intention that I had set was I want to be a global company in 3 to 5 years. And so, we do have some export opportunities we're working on. Hopefully some of those will pan out, and only takes one to be a global company. So
absolutely. That's super
manifestation, right?
Manifestation. That's intentionality, manifestation, and living as if it already is. That's my thing. Just pretend it already is. You're already shipping out. And
yes, exactly.
Because back to that, there's a whole game, not a game, but consideration in terms of choosing to scale, because it takes money to scale. So how did you go from, doing it in a commercial kitchen to funding a run by a co-packer? Because for our listeners, when you co-pack something, it costs money. And can you tell us more about that process of like how you made the decision and the leap, and how you were able to fund your first production run?
Yes. So you're right. It takes money. We were fortunate to find a co-packer that had relatively low minimum order quantities. That's really the first thing that helped us out. And they also had a lot of flexibility in their production scheduling. So we were able to have that on our side, if you will, as far as figuring things out as we went. But prior to getting the co-packer, though, one thing we had done while we were still in the commercial kitchen was we started sourcing our ingredients from larger suppliers and in bigger bulk. We had some room at our commercial kitchen where we were able to bring in pallets of ingredients. And so we had already started that process. So that made the transition to the co-packer easier, where we didn't have to rely on the co-packer to source our ingredients for us. That was a benefit, also very challenging, because when you are the brand and you are managing your own ingredients that are stored at your co-packer, that can be quite challenging in knowing, well, what do I have, maintaining that inventory and those numbers, and being able to reorder your supplies in a timely fashion in order to meet the production that you need to do. And so there's all these levers that you have to pull in order to make it all work seamlessly. And do things always go seamlessly? Well, they don't.
But did you have a platform to manage your runs, or did you just use it like Google Docs?
No. So originally, yes, we were using Google Docs, spreadsheets, but then we started working with Fiddle, which is an online inventory management system. We still use them today, even though our new co-packer now sources everything for us. So from our ingredients to our film, our only responsibility is to purchase the finished goods. And so we're very fortunate with that relationship. It's almost unheard of. So
that's really amazing. I wanted to go back really quick of what it takes to onboard with a co-packer. Because you said the first one, it didn't take that long. The second one, it took a bit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with, first of all, the size of the co-packer, and also their quality assurance processes. So our first co-packer was not SQF certified.
Right.
But our new co-packer is. So they have criteria that they have got to follow in order to make sure that when ingredients are brought in, they're at a certain quality standard before they can then accept them into the system and use them to make our product. It wasn't like that before. We were, as I said, the ones responsible for sourcing our ingredients, and basically we sourced them. And not that they were of lesser quality or anything. That's not the case. But we didn't have to meet those SQF certification qualities because our co-packer was not SQF certified. So now we are, and it's a game changer for us. So when you start to get into larger retailers, it matters. They look for that stuff, and really, it's just it's a way of people knowing the quality and the safety in the food chain.
Right.
When it comes
our
to
listeners, SQF is a third-party audits food safety certification, safe quality food. So that means the food, when they say safe, that means if there's any recalls, they can pull everything in an hour. Or I'm exaggerating, in a very short time, so that it doesn't, it doesn't proliferate in the market as a tainted food. So basically that's SQF has a lot of requirements, and to be an SQF certified facility costs a lot of money, but it assures everyone that your food is manufactured safely. It's not just SQF. You can also get ABA certification, which is American Baking Association, which is what my facility has. And then there's GFSI certification. So if you need any information on that, you can contact me, or you can ask a lot of Mr. Google's Mr. Google's resources. But yeah, so that the reason why the onboarding was hard was because of the certification, the third-party certification, which meant you could go
Sure.
into Whole Foods, right? And bigger companies, because that's what the bigger grocery stores require.
Correct. Yes. And so we're working on some of those, submitting to some of those larger retailers and trying to navigate that process. Recently, so in addition to onboarding with the new co-packer, I really have been focusing on building out our team. And we have started focusing a lot more on e-commerce too with our new web development team who are doing a fabulous job on our website and our email marketing and our digital marketing. I brought on a director of sales and growth strategy, and we have our creative and PR director. Has been with me for a while. She worked with me at my former business, and so it was a national transition bringing her over. And just the whole team is working to find opportunities to grow the business, to grow the brand, to get us some PR. And, so you bring up Whole Foods. We've actually been featured in Whole Foods magazine. While we're not in Whole Foods, the retailer, yet, hopefully one day we will be. We were featured in Whole Foods magazine. We were named in number 7 in the top 31 road trip snacks from Delish. And then we've also been featured in Commercial Baking magazine. So, and on our local Philly Live.
That's awesome. I love that. I mean, the story is, I think it's really important for people who are listening to, pursue your dreams. If you have something that you're passionate about, be it pretzels or, whatever else that you think the world needs and can enjoy, go for it, right? Just be brave and go for it, because you don't know where it's going to take you. It's all a learning. It's unsteady. The path is unsteady and a lot of surprises, but it is an adventure, right? And with that adventure, I think especially as women, we tend to overwork. But I know that you, Stephanie, have a really good regimen for self-care. So can you tell us more about that? Like, how do you take care of yourself as you manage a growing CBG pretzel brand?
That's a great question. And to be honest, I'm better at it sometimes than I am at other times. So it's helped a lot building out the team, because now there are people responsible for doing things that my mom and I were doing, ourselves. We've had a lot of support too. I just want to point out, from family and friends over the years as we've grown, who have worked in our kitchen, who have packaged our product, who have made deliveries, and while growing to working with a co-packer, of course, then we don't have those people. We're working with them. They still are involved by going to local events for us, sampling out our products. And so, but as far as the self-care, for me, walking is a real de-stressor. And even though I'm not so good at it in the winter in Pennsylvania, because it's cold and I don't like the cold so much. When I am home in California in the winter, I am able to walk more. And in the summer, of course, it's not a problem as the winter months. As the spring and summer and fall allow it to be warmer. And then, just really time management is key, and shutting off at a certain time each day. Is that 100%? No, there are times when I'm still sitting at my desk at midnight or 1 a.m. But they're less and less frequent now. And so it's really important to just get away from the screen, be able to just relax and start fresh the next day. So, and that's eating right too. So I make sure I love to cook. That's a de-stressor for me. And so making dinner every night helps me to decompress as well
That's
and
awesome.
continue to be creative. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we all need. We need to manage our energy so that we continue to be creative, and you could weather the storm of the up and downs, right? Of the unknowingness and the knowingness of things. So this is
Mhm.
awesome. Thank you so much. And I wanted to just ask you one last question. If you had the ability to talk to your younger self, what would you tell her?
I would say, "Atta girl, keep going. Give yourself a pat on the back." It's funny you should say that because I do have a photo of my younger self on my dresser in my bedroom that I see every morning. And it's really important to stay connected to that little girl in all of us, that dreamer, that go-getter, you know, empower her, empower others.
Right. My friend,
Hmm.
I love that. I have a friend, her mom is 84, and I just went to visit her in Boston, right? That's where I stayed.
Yeah.
And her prayer, which I absolutely love, is God, please help us so we can help others.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
part of
I
that
love
too,
that.
recognizing our own selves in different iterations and, you know, giving her kudos for dreaming the dream and you're living it now.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Odette.
being on the Celebrity Gourmet podcast. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Odette. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.